Hello, this is Wmpyr, here to talk to you guys about the Escrima Revolution. I could also call this the Kia Revolution, Kali Escrima Arnis, because they're pretty much the same thing. And for me, what I've been presenting to you guys on YouTube is just that. It is evolved. It is quite different from the norm. And I am here to encourage the revolution, the changes. Why? Because I've always really liked Kia, and I feel like it's state of the art. I really do. I feel like it's ahead of its time. Especially right now. What's the number one martial art today, right now? And to me, that is the combat sport of MMA, which is pretty much cage fighting, right? To me, that's number one. It's my opinion, but that is the most popular. That is considered the most effective by many. So I feel like MMA is kind of like where it's at right now. Now, that being said, in a real life self-defense situation, we may encounter things that is beyond MMA. For example, an opponent that is larger than you, weight classes above you. You also may encounter multiple opponents, and you might encounter weapons as well. So, in order to be ahead of the time, we have to go beyond MMA. And to me, Kia does that because we deal with an art. I mean, Kia is an art that comes from the battlefield. It was designed for, no rules, no weight classes, multiple attackers, and weapons. So that to me tells me that this is beyond MMA. The only problem is I feel like the era has changed since when Kia was developed and when Kia was being actively used. The era has changed so much that a lot of the material is misunderstood, forgotten. We don't know how to use it anymore. And I think that's really sad. So I try to uncover as much of it as I can in my own way. And this is just my own interpretation. And, I'm not saying that I am right and everyone else is wrong, but I am saying I've seen some holes in other people's games, and I've tried to make sure that my holes are covered. So that's all this is about. They can do things their way, but those holes still exist. And my question to other people is, what do you do about those holes? And if they don't really have a good answer, then it's really good luck to them and their students. And I wanted to make sure that my students and myself will be safe. So here, the first thing is, this is not full contact sparring or full contact fighting is what you're seeing in either picture. In either one of these photos, it is a partner drill. Okay, this is how we train, how we put things in muscle memory. The traditional, you could see that it's right there is I have a knife, my student has a knife, but the main difference between the traditional and then the bottom one, which is my method takes place in long range. The traditional method, it takes place in medium range or in close range, okay? And the problem is when you do the traditional methods and you go full contact, you'll find out that if you start and stay in that range, you're both going to die. Or you're both going to be severely injured and pretty much die. And that's why I had to change the partner drill to where we're practicing in long range. So I have a knife, and then you see my student here has a bag. He doesn't have a knife, he has a bag. And that bag to me is realistic. So the bad guy in real life might take out a knife, and then for you to have a self-defense bag, some kind of bag that you're carrying for defense, to me is realistic option. Okay, and then you could use that bag as a shield to protect yourself. Once again, to me, this is a very realistic solution to this problem. And if I attack him using the knife. He's going to block with the bag shield, and then he's immediately going to create distance. So he's going to act kind of like a magnet that has been repelled. So he's instantly going to back off. Okay, so those are 3 super important things that I discovered doing this drill over many years with my students, which is, number 1, you got to be in long range. Number 2, you want a bag. And number 3, you have to maintain the distance. So those 3 things are critical. The traditional version here does not teach any of those 3 steps at all. So, to me, the traditional version, I'm not saying that it's wrong, right? Please understand, I'm not saying that it's wrong. In fact, I believe it had a different purpose. But from what I see people teaching it, they don't know what that is anymore. It's been lost. And I have my own speculations because, I've been studying the art for many years now. So I have my own ideas, but that's not what this video is about. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the Escrima Revolution. So this is the new solution. Let's move away from those traditional drills and let's start doing the partner drills in long range. That's what I'm telling you guys. Let's do that. Okay, and it becomes much, much easier to understand, how am I supposed to use this stuff in real life? Oh, okay, like so, I can see the application. Now, a lot of people still that do the traditional partner drill, like the photo above, and they teach it, and they'll tell you, if they've actually tested it in full contact, they know it's not going to happen like this, that you're both going to get hurt really, really bad. So they know that. And then they'll tell you, well, this is attribute development. Okay. Yeah, that's fine and everything, but there's actual techniques here. So it confuses the brain is what I'm saying. And, and it's hard enough that people want to fight. So in a self-defense situation, you feel like in order to protect yourself, you need to fight. So then you put yourself back into the top photo, and that's where you're both going to get severely injured. You're training in techniques that occur in that range, and you think that's where you need to be, and it just, even though you're doing it only for attribute development, it confuses your brain, and you're just putting yourself in jeopardy. So that's why I'm saying, let's just walk away from it and let's go to long range. Okay, I believe, my own speculation is, the traditional version is very, very advanced, that the guys that came up with Kia, the founders, they really, really knew what they were doing, and they took it to a very high level. They were very advanced. However, like I said, a lot of that's been lost, and they're not teaching it. They may be teaching the techniques, but they don't know how it's supposed to be applied. They don't know the when, how, and where kind of thing. So I'm saying, let's revert back to more simple stuff, and let's get our priorities down. Let's get the basics down. And when you do that, to me, it's undeniable. We got to go back to long range. Okay, so that's why I'm teaching the long range stuff and the way I'm doing the partner drills, as you see in the photo below. So now let's go to this one right here. So this is kind of a separate situation, okay? Because the top, this one right here, this situation here was, the person is coming at you with the knife. They're stabbing at you. They are slashing at you. They are actively, it hasn't happened yet, but if you look at the second photo, the long range photo right here, I'm about to attack him. And I do, right after this, I'm slashing, stabbing at him. Okay, and obviously you see that in the traditional one, we're cutting at each other. Okay, so this one here, I want to make it very, very clear, that is not this situation. Okay, this situation is the person, which is me. I'm the guy with the knife, so I'm the bad guy in this sequence here. I come up to my student, talking to him, threatening him, saying I want his money or whatever it is, and I have my knife out. I am not attacking him with the knife. My student has already made a submissive gesture saying, hey, I don't want any trouble here. Let me take out my wallet or whatever. And then at that point, if he turned and ran, we're so close that it would be easy for me to tackle him down or press him up against the wall and stab him to death. If I tackle him to the floor, now he's really going to get stabbed to the death, right? So that would be a bad time for him to run away. So he cannot get to long range, in other words. We want to go to long range, right? That was the first photo that I showed you guys. We want to be in long range. But clearly here, it's not happening. For whatever reason, I came up too sudden. He was distracted, whatever. We're not in long range. So at this point, he has to give up. He says, I lost the fight already. So he can't be fighting me because I'll be stabbing him and it'll be over. So what I'm trying to say is my knife, I'm the bad guy, I have the knife, my knife is not in motion. I got him. I already got him. It's already been made clear that if I did, I'm going to win this. So why am I doing this? Because I want something else, or because maybe I'm trying to make him think something else. It's a trap. Whatever it is, I got him. Okay, so my arm that has the knife is not in motion. That is when you could go for the wrist grab. Okay, and it's natural. So if someone, basically this is a position where my student was held up by me. So if someone holds you up, whether it's a knife or a gun, okay, they're going to be very close to you and they're going to stick the weapon right onto you. And at that point, it's actually very natural for you to grab it. You don't have to aim to grab it, as if you were in medium range or in long range especially. Now it's good luck with that. It's going to be way, way harder. But here, when a person brings out a knife and they bring it real close up to you, it's natural for you to grab it, okay? And so from there, you go the wrist grab, and you can see in the sequence, the middle is right where he's doing the transition into the arm wrap. So we go from wrist grab to arm wrap, and this is huge, okay? So the first big bomb right here was to say that you only do the wrist grab when their arm is not in motion. The arm has to be stationary. So that's number one. That's huge because I see people teaching the wrist grab, but they're teaching it off of a stab. They're teaching it off of a cut, like you're supposed to catch it. And I am not for that at all. Because why? Because in my own experiments with my students, I found out that at that point, when I'm attacking and you try to grab it, I'm going to change it up on you. It doesn't take a whole lot of skill to do that. So it doesn't make sense to do that. So at that point, if the person starts attacking you, we got to go back to this. You got to go back to long range, period. Okay? But if they're not, and they bring the knife up to you, and they're threatening you, and they're about to do horrible things to you, you don't know what's going to happen. So at that point, you could do the wrist grab, okay? So the arm has to be stationary. So that's the huge, big bomb right there. Number one, where a lot of martial arts instructors, I don't want to say they get it wrong. What I'm seeing, martial arts or self-defense instructors, I'm not saying that theirs is wrong and I'm right, but I'm saying there's a big hole in what they're teaching. How do you catch it if the hand's in motion? And they'll tell you well, you're going to get cut a little bit. Not a little bit. You're going to get cut bad. And it doesn't take much to overcome that, is what I'm saying. Once again, you try to grab my wrist when I'm coming at you with a knife, I can go around your grab. It really doesn't take much for me to counter that defense. So what do they do against those holes? And if all they got is to say, well, it's a knife fight, so you're going to get cut a little bit. To me, that is a weak, very, very weak argument. So what I'm saying is the hand needs to be stationary. Next is we go from wrist grab to arm wrap. It only takes a split second. You quickly transition from wrist grab to arm wrap. Why? Because we want the arm wrap. It's more secure. So then the next question is, why don't you just get the arm wrap? Forget the wrist grab. And that's where, from my experimentations, I can tell you that with my students, when we tried to skip the wrist grab, we got stabbed, we got disemboweled, we got severely injured if it was a real knife. So as much as I wanted to skip the wrist grab, I was like, one less step, let's simplify it, let's make it easier. We couldn't. It was just too risky. So this is another thing I see on YouTube is a lot of self-defense instructors teach the arm wrap, they don't teach the wrist grab. So here I am teaching both, but not only both, I'm teaching you that it's connected. You get the wrist grab first, and then you immediately go to the arm wrap. I did not know that you could even do that. That took me many years to figure out. I didn't know you could go from wrist grab to arm wrap. I thought they were just two totally different situations, two totally different techniques. Sometimes testing with my students, I'd be in the wrist grab, and then at other times I'd be in the arm wrap, and it's just like whatever, luck of the draw type thing. Well, I'm telling you here, wrist grab is priority. Get that first, and then get to the arm wrap. Once you get the arm wrap, okay, the next thing, and once again, I have to reiterate, I have to repeat again, because so many people miss this, is with MMA being popular, arm wrap, this is an overhook in MMA or in wrestling. It's an overhook. So a lot of MMA people are comfortable here. They have no problem doing it. But if you skip the wrist grab, you're gonna get disemboweled. Okay, you're gonna get stabbed, you're gonna get cut really bad. You need to control their weapon first before going into the arm wrap. And this is how you do it, from wrist grab to arm wrap, okay? Especially, once again, because in today's combatives, which is MMA based a lot of times, they teach the arm wrap. But the wrist grab, they just teach it as a separate situation, if they even teach it at all. But they teach the arm wrap, and I'm telling you, to just go for the arm wrap, the risk is way too high. It doesn't make sense to do it. You have to be real. You have to experiment in your sparring, and you have to tell yourself, no, I would have died. Okay, so that's why we do the wrist grab. Immediately go to the arm wrap, and then from the arm wrap, there's another immediate. You have to go to the arm wrench. And why do I say immediate? Immediate? That's because if you don't, and I was reminded once again recently with my student that if you don't immediately go to the arm wrench, people are smart. They figure things out. They'll change their grip, and they'll figure a way to stab you from close proximity. People just will. And my student did. So that, and that's not something that I taught him, or that's not something he was spending a lot of time thinking about. He just came up with it right there on the spot, changed grips, and then started stabbing me into my lungs. Okay, so even though I had the arm wrap, so that's why we need to go from arm wrap to arm wrench immediately. So what he's doing here, from the arm wrap, he has my right hand. And then in the arm wrench, you can see he still has my right arm, but now he's cranking it, and I'm kind of like getting up on my toes because it hurts so much. It's cranking my wrist, cranking my elbow, it's cranking multiple parts, but he would be doing this violently in real life. He has a lot of leverage, so and then he's just throwing his weight into it. So even a smaller person should be able to do this. We don't need a whole lot of time. We just need to do it enough that it doesn't allow me to start stabbing you. Okay, so you just need to put me off balance enough to get the arm wrench. And then from the arm wrench, we go into the finger lock, and that's what he's doing right here. He's basically disarming me, taking away my knife, which he does after this. But it is, so he's arm wrenched me enough that my posture now is like I'm about to fall over. And then from there, he's attacking the finger, which is attacking the grip. But if you could take out the finger, then the other person's going to have trouble doing anything against you using the knife. And that is exactly the idea that we're looking for. And then from there, you want to go back to long range and run away. Okay, so this is the Escrima Revolution that I am proudly presenting to you guys. I'm so excited about this. I've been doing this, presenting to you guys the same stuff for many years now, but I'm just trying to present it to you guys better, make it easier to understand. So the video is now over 20 minutes, so I think I've spoken long enough. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.